You guys, I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've set a goal in life and I have not hit it.
Welcome to Leaders of the West, a podcast for innovators and changemakers. I'm your host, Jessie Jarvis, the founder of the West, and I'm sitting down with agriculturalists, entrepreneurs, executives, and everyone in between with the goal of digging into the strategies, mindsets, and lessons that have been crucial to the success of ag and Western. Whether you're carrying on the next generation of your family's operation, starting something from scratch, or determined to climb up the leadership ladder, we're going to inspire you to continue to dream big, growing not just you, but the future of agriculture and Western as a whole. Let's go.
Well, hello, all of you fine friends. I hope you are having an incredible, I don't want to say end to your summer because gosh, that makes me sound like a real Debbie Downer right off the bat. But the reality is this is now on the day this airs, the last Tuesday of July, which is just really depressing if I want to be honest. At the same time though, I just locked my kids out of the house after having a full meltdown in full transparency. And I think there is totally a part of me that is excited for them to go back to school here in a few short weeks. So the jury is still out, I guess, on whether or not I'm excited that we are to the end of summer. Gosh, I've just really enjoyed this lovely weather and being outside. So that has been so wonderful. But at the same time, your girl is struggling a little bit, to be quite honest. Our children are at such incredible ages where they can do a lot for themselves. And that is wonderful. But in the same token, they think they can do a lot for themselves and they still need to ask for help. And I do feel like I spend a whole lot of time cleaning up messes that had they just asked in the first place, I probably could have helped them avoid. But you know what? That is leadership, because if they wouldn't have made the mess themselves and learned from their mistakes, they're not learning, right? So yes, I am having to come in and clean up their messes, but they're learning in the process. And now that I vocalize that, see, look at that. I'm learning something new over here. So I should be thankful that I am the leader that they call when they need help and that I'm able to help them clean up their messes and that they are continually learning how hopefully not to make them in the future, right? Today's episode, before we dive in, I want to be very upfront about this. I'm going to share some actual numbers with you guys today, like actual goals, revenue, behind the scenes of what has worked and what has not. And I'm doing that on purpose. It is something that I definitely don't do because when it comes to numbers and money and revenue, that's something that we always like to keep private, right? And I say we collectively. I don't think a ton of us like to talk about what we make or what our mortgage is or what a credit card debt we have or how much money we're making on something. And I fully understand that. But at the same time, I want you guys to see this from the perspective of somebody else in someone else's business, because when it's your goal and your number and your launch or product or business, it feels very personal and every miss feels like failure. But when you guys hear about mine, you might think differently. And that shift in perspective, and that really is the purpose of today's conversation. I'm going to talk to you guys about a goal that I didn't hit and why that's actually okay. So throughout our time at Of the West, we have seen firsthand really great, incredible candidates submit their resumes and they never get a call for an interview. And we've seen really talented people submit resumes. Instantly, they get a call for an interview and then they never get the call for the job offer. And I hate seeing great candidates get skipped over. It's not that they're not talented enough or worthy enough to do the job. It's typically that they don't know how to take who they are and what their skills are and present that in a way that impresses the employer and makes that candidate look like they are the solution to the employer's problem. We work on so many resumes each week and we take such great care of those. And we have an incredible track record that I am so very proud of. But the reality is that we don't have enough bandwidth to work on every single resume that needs us. We're great at one-on-one, but we really needed to develop something that was one-to-many so that we had the ability to impact more people. Because when we impact more people, we get to help the right people get in the right jobs. And that's better for our employers because they are getting the right candidates. And when they get the right people in their jobs, their companies are going to be able to grow. They're going to be able to become more efficient. And what's one of the byproducts from that? You guessed it, companies are going to hire more people. When we get more jobs, that's more opportunity for job seekers, which is the perfect ecosystem, not only for Of the West, but truly for the future of our industries. If we are not growing, if our businesses are not growing, if we're not having more success, our industries are then going to suffer. And so we have to continue to be growing and scaling and expanding and trying new things. And that totally comes back to the type of people that we hire. So all of that to say, we saw a very huge need. So last fall, almost a year ago, we worked tirelessly to create what is now the Ag and Western Career Blueprint, which is the most comprehensive product on the market in our industry. It's broken into 3 pillars. Pillar number 1 is resume mastery. So that's what helps create a clear, professional, very results-focused resume that speaks directly to hiring managers in agriculture and Western industries. So that allows somebody to identify their strengths and their personal story. They learn the 3 C's of a strong resume, which are clarity, credibility, and connection. They see real examples from ag professionals and students and their resumes. They also learn what modern formatting is going to stand out without going overboard, because we've seen both sides of that. Then there's pillar number 2. That's interview and communication. And that's really where people build the confidence and the communication skills that are going to help them earn the offer, not just the interview. Because again, getting the call for the interview is great, but it doesn't really mean much if you're not then going to get that offer. Of course, you can learn a ton from a variety of job interviews, but the whole goal of taking the interview is because we want the offer. So in pillar number 2, we really work on helping job seekers understand what industry employers truly value. We help them prepare smarter with an interview clarity formula. We also teach them how to tell their story using the STAR method, and then really mastering those little things that are critical details like posture, tone, body language, for both in-person and remote interviews, because virtual interviews are absolutely a thing, especially if you are a remote business like we are. Then there's pillar number 3, and that's professional growth. What that allows people to do is really strengthen their reputation and position themselves for that ongoing success. So there's post-interview follow-up templates that are going to make people more memorable, simple networking framework that really truly works. There are reflection worksheets that help people set new goals, which is ironically what today is all about as well. And then there's guidance on keeping that resume and online profile, so your LinkedIn or your Of the West professional profile, how to continually keep those up to date so that when you do find that perfect job or you do decide it's time to move on, you don't have to rack your brain and think about, oh man, I've been here for the last 10 years. I haven't looked at my resume since then. How am I supposed to make this look good? And I need it done by tomorrow. And then in the blueprint too, there are a ton of bonuses. There's editable resume templates. There's an interview prep worksheet, tons and tons of stuff. I could go on and on. The product itself is right around 120 pages. It is literally the meat. It is the potato. It is the vegetable. There is ranch dressing on the side. And those bonuses, those are absolutely dessert. When we built this, and again, this would have been in October of 2025, which I say all of that to now kind of tell you guys a little secret, I guess, that's a little bit off topic, but the blueprint, we are in the middle of rebuilding it. So I am super excited about that. It's going to be even bigger and better than before, but we'll get to that. All of that to say, here's why I'm giving you this backstory. So I believe in goals. You guys know this. I have a goal planning matrix that I love. I use it religiously. It really has changed my life. I've taught on it. I've recorded podcasts on it. If you want to go listen to that podcast, we've aired it a couple of times now. I'll make sure that we include the link to the show notes. You guys, I am all in on goals because that's the best way to determine whether or not you're moving forward in a way that you should be versus going nowhere, going in a circle, going backwards, unsure of where you're going at all. But that being said, I have also watched people get so dang fixated on a goal that they miss every other thing in life. And that tunnel vision causes them to miss out on some really great opportunities that would have been so much better, so much more aligned than their original goal. I've also watched people get their hearts broken because they didn't reach the goal. They feel like a failure. And the reality is they are anything but a failure. That's so dumb. I also watch people pick a number, a thing, whatever it is out of thin air and set that as their goal. And that rarely works because goals do need to be rooted in some data. You also typically have to have a plan that you've worked backwards from in order to reach said goal. You can't just say, I want to sell 200 widgets by Friday and miraculously sell 200 widgets by Friday. You're then going to have to develop a plan in order to hit that goal. So we have this blueprint. We know that we need to get it out to the masses. Let's say the goal that I set was to sell 100 of them. And that is a nice round number. So that's the one that I'm going to use. Normally, the blueprint is priced at $79, but we wanted to make sure when we launched this to people that we wanted to give them a substantial discount to our workshop attendees because that was the very first launch of that product. And we really wanted to make sure that it was as valuable for our job seekers as we anticipated it to be. Spoiler alert, it totally was. We have literally sold hundreds of the blueprint since its initial inception. But the amount of people who have sent emails, DMs about this product, it has really been so incredible. So for the launching offer, we priced the blueprint at $49. So if we sold 100 of them, we would have made $4,900. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I typically don't talk about money because we all think of money as being very self-serving. How dare Jessie want to sell a product to people so that she could make $4,900? She's probably going to take her kids on vacation. She's going to go buy a Louis Vuitton. Anything else you want to insert into that assumption, go right on ahead. But here's the thing. Money can absolutely be self-serving. It can also be the vessel that helps people provide more opportunity. Our platform, like any other business out there, we have to make money in order to survive. And we aren't selling people a product that does not work. We have created a product that people have told us that they need. We have seen that they need this. We absolutely have the experience and the knowledge to create this. We have poured hundreds of hours into creating it, plus all of our thousands upon thousands of hours of experience. It answers all of their questions and then some. It solves all of the problems that they have. I absolutely feel great about selling that to people. One of our dreams is to make a larger, more positive impact on agriculture and Western industries. And do you know what we need in order to do that? We need money. Like any other business, we continually need money so that we can continue to invest that back into our business to provide a better product. The job platform, the directory, whatever it is that we have made any kind of a profit off of, we invest that back into our business so that we can continually grow and develop a better product so that we can positively impact more people. So that goal, the $4,900 or whatever the actual goal amount was, it is going right back into our business to make it better for every single person who uses it. So when it comes to launching the blueprint out into the world, right, making this big announcement that here it is going to solve a ton of problems for people, I really wanted to do so around an educational workshop because I really believe in giving to people, especially when it comes to frequently asked questions, right? These are the types of questions that we get a ton of people continually asking us. So why not be able to really help people solve those problems, provide those answers, and then here is the tool to help you take this to the next step. So we decided to host a workshop in November. And at the time I was working with a business coach and she had asked me, she's like, well, how many of these do you want to sell? And I was a little bit hesitant to even put a number out there, but with her encouragement, I did. Okay. That's the backstory that you need to know for this. So workshop night comes, we sell 36% of our goal. That's good, but we're still 64% short. In addition to the blueprint, we also had quite a few people who purchased a one-on-one resume service because they didn't have time to work on their own resume, or maybe they just didn't want to work on their own resume. And those cost anywhere from $99 to $269. So it's far more than the $49 blueprint. The next day, we sent out an email with a replay, which also included a link to the blueprint along with that discount code. We then sell another 10%. So now we're closer. We're at 46% of the way to our goal. That's great. But you guys know I'm an overachiever and I'm not quitting until I get to the goal. We decide to host an encore session of our workshop on Sunday afternoon to pick up people who weren't able to attend on Wednesday evening. We then sell a couple of more blueprints on Friday and Saturday. So we're a bit closer to our goal, but we're still not there. Then Sunday rolls around. We host another hour-long workshop that afternoon. It was exactly the same as what we had done on Wednesday. So it wasn't necessarily like it was additional work. We didn't have to put anything new together minus the hour of our time that the workshop itself took. We could have been napping, of course. We could have been out for ice cream with our kids, but instead we were pouring into people who needed that information that we had. We sold another 25% then, and then we also sold some more one-on-one resumes. We're now at 71%. So before the workshop went live, we said that our discount would be good through Tuesday at midnight. So basically 1 week from Wednesday's workshop. So it went from Wednesday then on to Tuesday is when that discount was valid. And that was the deadline to reach that goal of selling 100 of them. We pull out all of the stops on Monday through Tuesday afternoon. And when it was all said and done, we ended up hitting 98% of our goal. So in theory, going back to 100 being a round number, that's 98 blueprints that were in the hands of people who were about to have their resumes and then hopefully their lives changed. Did we fall short of the goal? Technically, yes, we did. The goal was to sell 100 of them, and we did not do that. However, if we were to look at the revenue side of things, that goal was $4,900 because 49 times 100 is 4,900. We actually surpassed that. Now, how is that possible if we didn't hit our goal? Those one-on-one resume services that I had mentioned earlier that we had a few people purchase instead of the blueprint, those are worth 2 to 5 times that of a blueprint transaction. So if I was looking at that number, we totally hit and then even surpassed our goal. So here's the lesson in this. Lesson number 1, had I not set that goal, I would have woken up on Thursday morning and I would have noticed that we sold 36 of these things, let's say, and thought, wow, that's great. And then I would have moved on. But because I had that number in my head, I woke up thinking, okay, we're 64 away. What can we do today to close that gap? That's when we started getting creative and working harder and hosting an encore session and pushing through the resistance that always comes with chasing more. Of course, I was scared. Duh. I feel like I'm always scared when it comes to owning a business. But part of that is because I don't like to fail. And throwing a goal up without any kind of data behind it, because again, this is not anything that we've ever done before. So we have no data to say, okay, historically, we've done this. So because we're changing all these things, we could probably do Y. That feels like a very easy way to fail when you don't have any kind of historical data to make decisions from. And as for me, it made me work that much harder mentally, which is a good thing. Doing hard things is what then creates confidence. If my mentor had not pushed me, I would not have set that goal at all. And we would have sold 36 of them and we would have called it good. That is the power, 1, of having somebody in your corner who believes in you more than you believe in yourself, but also 2, just the importance in setting some kind of a goal. Lesson number 2 in this is sometimes you don't hit the goal and that doesn't mean that it's failure. We did not sell 100 blueprints. We sold 98 of them. Does that mean we failed? Maybe so. But here's what I realized as I looked back on that is if you had told me before the launch that we would have sold 98 of those things and help almost 100 people change their careers and exceed our revenue goal, I would have been thrilled. But because I set the goal at 100 and we hit 98, my first reaction was, man, we didn't do it. That's the thing about goals. When they're ours, we see the gap, right? We see that we missed the mark. But when they're someone else's, we see progress. You're probably sitting there thinking 98 out of 100, that's incredible. And you're right, it is. If I was in high school, that would have been a 98%. It probably would have been an A, right? Borderline A plus. And it totally is. But I had to step out of my own head to see it that way. I also know that we have now helped 98 people. Well, technically now we've helped far more than 98 people, but in that moment in time, right? And again, we're using round numbers here. 98 people figure out why they weren't getting the result that they wanted, and we gave them the tools that were needed to fix that for their future. I'm not a failure. They're not writing, didn't hit her blueprint goal on my headstone. At least I hope they're not. I also took a secondary look at our initial goal. Why was the goal to sell 100 blueprints? So that we could make $4,900 to invest it back into our business so we can make more of a positive impact on our industry. We did that and more. So technically, didn't we beat the goal? In my eyes, we absolutely did because we're looking at impact and we were absolutely able to do that at a level bigger than we thought. It never would have been possible had I not set that goal in the first place. You guys, I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've set a goal in life and I have not hit it. Countless times. Sometimes it was because I wasn't prepared. Sometimes it's because the goal didn't make sense. Sometimes it's because I quit. But every single time it's ever happened, it made me feel like a little bit of a failure, which none of us like. And I'm sure you guys can hopefully relate to that. I think it's a very common feeling. But that's not what that means at all. it means exactly what it is. I didn't fail. I just didn't prepare like I should have. That's fixable. I didn't fail. I just didn't make a smart goal. Guess what? That's also fixable. I didn't fail. I just lost interest. That too is fixable. The world isn't judging or determining our worth based on the goals that we set for ourselves. How many of you have set a goal to lose 20 pounds and you've lost 18? Did you fail? Or did you fundamentally change your health, your habits, and your confidence? How many of you have set a revenue goal for your business? You've missed it by 10%, but you learned more in that year than in any other year. How many of you have wanted to qualify for a rodeo and maybe you didn't make it, but you became a better athlete in the process? There is probably going to be a goal that you have set this year that you haven't yet hit. And notice I didn't say that you didn't hit because there's still time to hit the goal, but I think that that's probably a pretty common feeling. And how do I know that? Because the best winners, we can't win every single time, but what matters is that we keep going, we keep pushing, we keep editing and refining and remembering that we are the rock stars that we are. If I just lit something within you to go back and revisit your goals and look at the ones that, oh, you're right, I had this as a goal this year and I haven't hit it yet. Well, let's make a plan to get that goal by the end of the year, right? There's still time. Goals are not about perfection. They're about direction. Falling short of a goal does not erase the progress that you've made. And sometimes the miss is what actually teaches you more than the hit or of what achieving that goal ever would have been able to. And the real failure is never falling short. It really is not setting the goal in the first place. So you guys, I highly encourage you, set a goal, chase it as hard as you can. If you fall short, look at what you learned, figure out what you've gained from it. Take time to really notice the type of progress that you've made in that process, because chances are you did not fail at all. You redefined what winning looks like. And that is something that we all have to continually aspire to do. That is all I have for you today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. You guys, we are bringing guests back. Next week, we have a brand new guest on the show. You're going to love this episode. Actually, the entire month. We've been saving some real heavy hitters for you guys. These are incredible episodes, as they always are. Of course, I'm a little bit biased in that. And then I do know that I mentioned this earlier. I kind of dropped it in there, but we are redoing our blueprint. And so if you are somebody who you were listening to that and you thought, man, maybe I need to look at that, I will absolutely include the link to that in the show notes. But just know that we are making it even bigger and better and relaunching it as a brand new product here shortly. We will make sure to keep you guys in the loop on that, as we always do. But I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you back here next week.
If you loved this episode, do us a favor and share it with someone else who might find just as much value in it as you did. We're on a mission to continue to grow and strengthen the future of agriculture and Western industries, and you spreading the word helps us make more of a positive impact. It also makes a big difference when you take a minute to go rate and review the show. We can't thank you enough for listening, for sharing, and for loving Ag and Western as much as we do. We'll see you back here for our next episode.